order. No! You're out of order. This whole court is out of order.
It's a story of men fighting for something against insurmountable odds.
I'm not a doctor.
Murder!
It's fantastic. It's something that's changed the world. It's totally American.
Takes you back to your childhood and makes your tummy just feel oh so good.
I am the old man of the group. I am the person that is most mature, and I am the only adult in this room. And it's Debate My Take. Welcome back to another episode of Debate My Take, where two buddies with great hair and great opinions go toe to toe over a series of NFL topics focused on the Carolina Panthers, and every now and then a topic that's just about life in the world. We got a fun show to debate tonight, and my co-counsel, my opposition on the other side of the aisle is my man Cody Lashney. Tonight we are friends and foes.
You know what? I've passed the bar, Tony Dunn. I am officially a go-getter, eviscerating lawyer on behalf of Panther hot takes. I'm the best there is, man. If the glove does not fit, you must fire Matt Rhule. Everyone knows that. I'm ready for Debate My Take. It's been a while since we've gotten to spar. Good to be back with you again here, brother. But I look forward to beating you thoroughly, as always.
It's a wild card week. In fact, the playoffs are at hand, and a lot of topics related to the Carolina Panthers have come into clarity and to focus. What do we got tonight? What are we debating first?
Yeah, man, we have a good series of questions on the docket tonight. But first, let's start with number one. Ace Boogie, Cameron Jarrell Newton. A lot of people think Cam Newton is washed. A lot of people think all of Cam Newton's best football is behind him. Many people think he should retire. Tony Dunn, I'm asking you, do you share this same sentiment? Should Cam Newton retire?
No. He should have retired this past year. He should have retired. He shouldn't have come back to Carolina. He tried to rejuvenate, I won't say his career here. He took some money from the Carolina Panthers, and God bless him for doing that. He gave us a moment of hope. He felt like it was a place that was kind of meant to be for the moment. And maybe it was if we would have used him better. We actually did him wrong by not even really. We brought him in and didn't buy into him, but asked him to buy into us. So that was a shame. The reason I say he should not retire is because it can't end like this. It can't end like this. I'd rather foresee Cam to go and become a backup somewhere at the very least, and then to when an opportunity, his number gets called, go in there and to at least finish his career on the field in a positive manner, not in the shadows of disaster of Matt Rhule, Matt Fool, in this organization. Cam Newton probably should retire because he's not going to be in a good situation. He should have retired maybe, but he shouldn't now. Now he's got to get the chip on his shoulder, and he's got to go somewhere and put a good ending to his story.
He should retire. And that hurts me to say because I love Cam Newton. If you've been following this podcast for any length of time, you know that Cam Newton is the reason why I'm a Carolina Panther fan, dude. That's my favorite football player of all time. I love Cam Newton. I love what he means to the Panthers. I love what he means to this Charlotte community. But Tony Dunn, it doesn't matter what I think of him. The NFL, rightly or wrong, has made the idea and has come up with the assumption that Cam Newton is just not a good quarterback anymore. Maybe he was once upon a time in 2014, maybe up to 17, and definitely during his MVP season. But people look at Cam Newton's performances with the New England Patriots last year, which were not very good numbers, threw more interceptions than touchdowns, and what he did this year, which was also not very good. And people are going to look at that and just say, well, Cam Newton is washed. Cam Newton is done. Now, we know better. We know that he was on two dumpster fire football teams that couldn't actually put any meaningful talent around him. But Tony, I'm trying to think, what are the chances that Cam Newton actually lands in a situation like that? I don't think that even a team with a good offensive line and good weapons is going to want to bring in Cam Newton unless they have a starter that got hurt or they want to be able to run quarterback power. So I really don't see it. Cam Newton has a very successful cigar shop in Atlanta. He's branching out and doing things on the internet more. He has his own hat company. I kind of feel like how I did after Luke Kuechly retired. For the man himself, it's just better for him, his own health, and his family to call it a career and do our best to remember the good days and the good things that he did as a Carolina Panther.
Next up, today, Matt Rhule, we're recording this on a Thursday night. We've also just done a show on a reaction show to Matt Rhule's disaster of an interview. He was asked today on the Mac Attack about how did it feel to be booed, right? Or how does he react? How does he internalize this? And chants of fire Matt Rhule have broken out at the stadium. We've seen people wearing T-shirts, fire Matt Rhule on television at Hornets games, chants of fire Matt Rhule out there. Are Panther fans too harsh on Matt Rhule, and should they feel bad for his kids?
No, they should not. And it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with his kids. You know, Tony, and you and I know this. How long have Panther fans had to put up with the notion that we're wine and cheese fans? That we're the type of fans that will tell someone to sit down and stop being so loud on third down when you're supposed to be out there cheering, going hard for your football team. Well, listen, you can't have it both ways. You cannot ask for Carolina Panther fans to be engaged and passionate and involved with the matters of the football team and then get mad at them when they voice their displeasure through whatever means they decide to. If they're booing at a Hornets game, at a Panthers game, at a Hurricanes game, it doesn't matter, man. Panther fans were not too harsh on Matt Rhule, and they're not too harsh on him now. We deserve better than this. We deserve better than this as Panther fans, and to watch these inept coaching decisions hold us back and continuously have us as a bottom feeder NFL franchise, it's unacceptable. And fans have every right to be all the way pissed off.
Panther fans are not too harsh on Matt Rhule. They are not harsh enough. And that is something to be said when I have never seen such a unified stance against one thing in our fan base. Never in the history of this team have I seen the fan base so united on a singular idea. Kelvin Benjamin was a guy that some people thought was good. Some people thought was bad. Some people liked the draft pick. Some people didn't. Cam Newton, some people loved him like we did, right? But there was always a group of people that said he wasn't a good quarterback. Ron Rivera, there was plenty of reasons to keep him, and there were plenty of reasons to move on from him. Marty Herney, some reasons to say people were too harsh on them, but a lot of reasons also for the criticism. There were a multitude of voices, but right now the Panther fans are singing harmoniously against Matt Rhule. And I want to say this is after today and this week in the interviews that we have not been loud enough. In fact, it's time. We're about to hit the doldrums of Carolina football history. And we are a young team and had some bad years. 2 years we've won. 1 year, 1-15, another year, 2 1-15 seasons in our history. And this is comparable to those. We're talking bag on the head type seasons next year where Panther fans are going to be wearing paper bags on their heads, going out there and saying it's just awful. So I know the Panther fans haven't been harsh enough.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tony. I agree with you. Moving on, where is David Tepper? I mean, Tony, the past few seasons, I feel like we got to hear from David Tepper about things involving this football team when it comes to front office and players and just the overall direction of the football team that he just purchased. And we're not getting that. We're not getting that. And I don't know if we will. My question to you is, why is that? Why have we not heard from David Tepper? And do you think we will before the start of next season?
He's going to address the Panther fans in a letter. And the fact that today that was it Jim Irsay, whoever owns the Colts, did this, put out a letter, right? The PDF letter to fans. I think that Tepper did this when he bought the team. I think he addressed after he fired Matt Rhule is that right now his inactivity, his missing in action, him on a milk carton at this point is so apparent now that even like people are saying, look, is the written, just even a little written word of endorsement with the way that unhappiness with this team at this current juncture. We're not going to settle for this. We're going to continue to get better. But I believe that Matt Rhule has continued the guy to do this. That would at least quell some of the noise for a moment. You know what I'm saying? At least we would just say we know where Tepper's at. But right now, Tepper is hiding. He's hiding because he knows he made a mistake. And now he's trying to figure out how he's going to deal with it. And I'm still not convinced that Matt Rhule will be the coach of this team next year. He could be fired midseason, but I think as the voices continue to get louder and louder, the chance to fire Matt Rhule continue to get louder and louder, and the call for David Tepper to address his people are going to force him and force his hand to move on from Matt Rhule. So David Tepper is hiding from what he knows what he's got to do.
Tony, I can't believe I'm saying this, but you're right. But you know why you're right?
Thanks.
It's because he knows this now. Everything that you just said about Matt Rhule, David Tepper knows this. And that's quite frankly the reason why you're not hearing from him. Because he knows that he messed it all up, Tony. He thought Matt Rhule was the guy that was going to come in, be a culture builder, was going to get everybody working hard, that this team was going to get better and better. Well, it's only gotten worse and worse. And listen, say what you will about David Tepper. I feel that he is far more connected to what is being said about his football team than Jerry Richardson ever was as an owner. And that makes me believe he knows everything that's going on with the Panther fandom the past couple of months and how unhappy we are. That fans were at his own stadium booing the coach that he hired off the field. David Tepper is ashamed and he's embarrassed. And that's why he's not going to come out and answer any of these questions, because David Tepper doesn't want to answer the kinds of questions that WFNZ just asked of Matt Rhule and Scott Fitterer, because both of these guys, specifically Matt Rhule, who have been such a detriment to this football team, was all because of him. Because David Tepper gave an unproven college head coach a 7-year, $63 million deal is asinine, and now he looks dumb for it, and he has to sleep in the bed that he made, and he doesn't want to.
He knows what he's got to do. He just doesn't want to do it. You
Yes,
know, and
100%.
I mean, this is like is that we all do this like on our own problems. Like I know I get to drink less, but I don't want to. I know that my truck battery in my truck right now is like you can tell that it's like getting low, you know, it's like in the cold morning, it's just a little slower to start. You know, it's not fine. I know the battery needs to be changed, but I just don't want to go do it. I'm going to, you know, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to spend the $200 on this battery, and I don't want to go do it. I don't want to spend, I just want to try to get one more crank out of it before I got to face the music. David Tepper knows what he needs to do, but he don't want to do it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, let's move on to how much power does Scott Fitterer have? And I'll go first on this, Tony. I don't believe that he has very much power at all. And one of the things that I believe you and I both have uncovered is that there's some real, I think, some dissension amongst the ranks between Scott Fitterer and Matt Rhule. I think,
my take is starting to take. Many people are starting to endorse this a little bit. Like you're starting to hear people say I felt like I was the one that uncovered it.
Yeah, man. Hey, kudos to you. I do think that you were right in that. So Matt Rhule, we just reacted to it, did an interview where he was like, I'm not the guy in the ivory tower making all the football decisions from up on high. Whereas the Joe Person report that came out a few weeks ago pretty much says entirely different. And I think Scott Fitterer is a little bit perturbed and pissed off that he's the GM of the Carolina Panthers and that many of the ideas and that he has had and the players that he felt should be playing are not, including the players that he drafted, such as Deontay Brown and Brady Christensen. And frankly, I don't get the feel that Fitterer or Matt Rhule like each other very much. But I really don't believe that Scott Fitterer truly has the full power of a GM. I think David Tepper has set this whole thing up where Matt Rhule has the final say so on all football decisions. And if Matt Rhule says that we're going to draft this player or we're going to sign this free agent from Temple and Baylor, you know that it's going to happen. Are you going to tell me that Scott Fitterer is willingly choosing to go out and get Temple and Baylor players? No, that's Matt Rhule. That tells me that Matt Rhule is the one that's actually pulling the strings. Fitterer might be answering the phone and listening to the deals, but Matt Rhule is really the one making everything happen here in Carolina. And I don't think Fitterer has much power to do anything about it.
How much power does Scott Fitterer have? The answer is not enough. Not enough, right? And it's pretty clear is that he doesn't. That when you hire your coach first, and then you hire the GM, you have coordinated the coach. You coordinated the coach, and you said he's the most important part, and that we're going to build around our coach in a way. Sadly, again, Tepper knows what he's got to do. He just doesn't want to do it. He has clearly learned at this point, or he needs to have learned that he did this backwards. And whether or not Matt Rhule is a good coach or not, you invested a lot in him and put a lot of confidence in him from the beginning and gave him the keys to the car. Then you brought in like somebody that kind of was there meant to babysit him now, and Scott Fitterer, and like a check and balance on this. The problem is that we're seeing that things in Carolina are bad. They're bad behind the scenes, and we're starting to see the fragmenting that is happening. That happens when things go bad. The problem is this is exactly why you don't build an organization like this. You do not build an organization where people can point fingers at each other, but have to take accountability together. And today, Matt Rhule pointed a finger at Scott Fitterer. He took a shot back. Yesterday on Monday, Scott Fitterer took a shot at Rhule's idea of what Brady Christensen is. It's in the public eye now. They're confronting each other through the media. And on top of that, you know what they're not doing? Addressing the team or the fan base together. Yep. I'm pretty sure in the past when we saw Dave Gettleman do his press, why didn't they do this together? Yeah. So the answer is
some COVID BS too. Like that just
bullcrap. Yeah. How much power does Scott Fitterer have? Not enough. And he's probably not going to get any until Matt Rhule is gone. And to be honest, it'll be interesting if he survives even with Matt Rhule. You know what I mean? You might even just say this. There's a real argument that you could just say, you know what? Sorry, Scott, this is a bad situation for you, but we're going to just start from fresh. Wouldn't that be some mess if you fired everybody and did it right? But here's the problem now. We don't know if it's going to be Matt Rhule or Scott Fitterer. That is the real problem. Just like we don't know if Sam Darnold could be good or not because the offensive line is so hard to evaluate anything behind. So what you're going to do is you're going to fire Matt Rhule. You're going to let Fitterer now pick the coach. And then you're going to find out that Fitterer wasn't good either. Ugh.
Yeah.
Next
It's
topic.
embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing. Hopefully a miracle will happen to make things better. Tony, this is a fun one. The Panthers, sadly, we all know we didn't make the playoffs. So basically the question is, what team should Panther fans cheer for now that the Carolina Panthers are out of the playoffs?
I think we should do two teams, one from the NFC, one from the AFC.
Okay.
Because we don't have to stop cheering as soon as one loses either. Like we could cheer for this Super Bowl to happen.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm down for that.
So my AFC, which is going to be the easier one for us because we don't have the hatred and the allegiances, right, that we got with some other people. For me, it's the Cincinnati Bengals right now. I was hard on Joe Burrow. I've underestimated him a little bit and thought that he was just on a super team. But he is really freaking good. He's great, man. He's out there trading blows. They're a young, fun team. And you know what? I'm rooting for the lovable losers at this point. It's kind of a coin flip. I mean, I think that Buffalo would be a good team to cheer for too because of all the ties to the Carolina Panthers. But it also makes me sad to see a guy with a GM and a head coach and a quarterback and have all the things we don't. So I'm saying Cincinnati for me in the AFC. And this is really hard for me is the NFC because I don't like a lot of these teams, particularly the Buccaneers, the Eagles, and the Cowboys, and are at the top of my hit list right here of the teams I just don't really like. I like the fact that the Eagles were a team that outperformed their expectations this year. They did what we wanted to do. Which is funny is we thought that I clowned that Sirianni dude so much, the head coach for them, and they got a better coach than we do. I clowned him for the systems that they were going to have in place, the systems and the worst. He lost his opening press conference, but has done better than Matt Rhule. I'm saying
in the playoffs.
I kind of want Aaron Rodgers to win in the face of everybody, just a bukkake on everybody's face, right? Is against because he's been the most hated man. But I'm going to say this, a team that I don't like, I kind of want to do well, and that's the Arizona Cardinals.
Ooh.
I think I would like to see, I'm kind of rooting for teams that are building something right now. The Bengals building something. The Cardinals potentially building something. So I want to see a Bengals-Cardinals Super Bowl.
Hey, I don't mind that. I don't mind it, but my answer is a little bit different. You know, the question is, who should Panther fans cheer for in the playoffs? Now, I like your answer of Cincinnati. I like a lot of those players. I think T. Higgins is a really good football player. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Mixon, Boyd, they're a good football team. But Tony Dillon, I'm going with Panthers North. Keep rumbling, baby. Keep rumbling. Keep rumbling. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. I mean, listen, Sean McDermott is up there. Mario Addison's up there. Starla Tule's up there. Brandon Beane is up there. F.A. Obada's up there. I mean, it really is Panthers North.
Christian McCaffrey's going to be up there next year.
Hey, keep going. He might. But also, when you look at that football team, they're also built very similarly to, I believe, that 2015 Carolina Panthers. Maybe their running back attack isn't quite as good as Jonathan Stewart
and they're not as quarterback run heavy.
Yeah, but that's what. Well, Josh Allen, listen, say what you want about him. That guy can do it all. He can do it all, man. He has a cannon for an arm. He has now become a very accurate quarterback, and they can run him. And he's fast and agile for a big 6'5", 240 pound dude, you know? So I also think that him and Stephon Diggs, that is probably my favorite quarterback receiver combo in the NFL, the plays that those two make. I just think they're so fun to watch. And I'm definitely going to be pulling for them first and foremost going forward throughout these playoffs. But the NFC team that I'm going to pick, and honestly, the Super Bowl match that I'm hoping for is the Buffalo Bills versus the Green Bay
Yeah,
Packers.
that would be cool. I
That
agree.
that's
That
going to
would be
be
a great Super Bowl.
yeah, and like I said, just like how Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs have a special connection, well, so do Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. I mean, they have a really special connection. I think that would be a really fun Super Bowl for all the fans. Yeah, and I think that would be just a fun game to watch, man. But first and foremost, I'm going Buffalo Bills, man. I also think the Buffalo fans, knowing after what they went through in the 1990s and going to 4 Super Bowls. Yeah, it's like it's easier to cheer for them, and they have a crazy fan base from up north too.
I'm going to be cheering for the
Bills.
Bengals and the Bills. All teams that start with B.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of how I'm at right now. I know. I mean,
except the Buccaneers.
Right, exactly.
Right.
All right. Last topic of the night. We always finish the show with a non-football topic. Tonight's topic is, what do you believe is the most overrated movie?
Yeah. Do you have one off the top of your head?
I do. I got one.
Go ahead.
There is a movie that people say is good by a director who is terrible. This guy makes the best trailers and the worst movies. Every one of his movies has a terrible ending. The movie is a movie called Signs. It has Mel Gibson in it. It has the guy who played, I think, who's the guy with the cleft lip? I think he's a Phoenix. I think he's one of the brother. Yeah, it's the guy that played Joker in the newest Joker.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix. He's in this. This story is about an alien invasion. Badass story. Badass aliens, right? Killer cast. I mean, like, you got all the makings of what should be a good movie, right? This alien, they're badass, man. They come to the planet, they can jump up and be. I mean, they're big, physical, and we got no chance against this alien, except for one fundamental flaw in the logic of this movie. As this movie unfolds, this little girl, she just keeps putting glasses of water all over the house. Just water all over the house, little water glasses everywhere. And then it turns out the most badass aliens in the world can be killed with a super soaker. These aliens decided to invade a planet that they're allergic to water, and they invaded the blue planet. What kind of general? That general is like Matt Rhule trying to sell me his plan. The general that said, I got an idea. Let's invade this planet made of 80% water while we're allergic to water and kill all these people who are actually 85% water themselves. M. Night Shyamalan is a bum. I'm telling you, I hate all his movies. I know one thing is that you'll watch a M. Night Shyamalan movie. It's going to have a great trailer. It's going to have going to be a great buildup, and it's going to have a terrible ending every time. So the most overrated is Signs, and I hate The Village too.
Yeah, vintage early M. Night Shyamalan put out some bangers, but
the only one that is any good is Sixth Sense. And that, like the I See Dead People, the kid, and that stuff, and it turns out the guy that Bruce Willis was dead the whole time.
Unbreakable was pretty good.
Is that the one with Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis.
Best M. Night Shyamalan film is one that is the most ridiculous. Lady in the Water. It is like like you just know right away it's ridiculous, so you're cool with it. Like there's a mermaid living in the back of a Motel 6 pool.
Yeah, it even sounds funny when you say it out loud. No, Tony, listen. The most overrated movie of all times is one of the highest grossing films of all times, and it's also by one of the most vaunted writer-directors of all time. The most overrated movie is Avatar.
Yeah.
Avatar is a movie. One, how about this? It's straight up a ripoff of Dances with Wolves. Dances with Wolves did the same thing first. Fern Gully, for all my 90s kids watching, was also the exact same thing. The outsider comes in with an agenda. They're going to ruin the environment, but he falls in love with someone from this naturalistic culture, and then he ends up wanting to fight for them. It was just an utter ripoff of a movie. And then all the graphics and the special effects, yeah, they were good for the time, but they were touting this series like it was going to be the next, 4 or 5 years would be slammed with Avatar movies and this incredible story. They never did that either. It's
They're working on another one.
They've been working on it for like 20 years
just
now,
like the first one. The first one he worked on for 20-something years too. Like it just took forever.
And I don't understand it, man. There are people that genuinely love this movie. And honestly, it's garbage. It's boring. It's unoriginal.
It's long.
It's long. It's just meant to be pretty for your eyes. The acting isn't very good. There's literally the material that they're trying to mine is called unobtainium. Like what? What? Really? Could you be more
unattainable though? We're trying to mine it, but we can't get it, so it's unobtainium.
We're gonna obtain this unobtainium. It's the dumbest shit in the world. This is James Cameron just phoning it in for crazy amounts of money, and it's a super overrated movie. Tony Dunn. Avatar is the correct answer.
That is another episode of Debate My Take Wildcard Week. The postseason finale for Debate My Take. Will continue to bring you these videos as much as we can. But we need your help. We need you to let us know you like them by subscribing to the channel, smashing the thumbs up button, and getting in that chat and telling us who won this debate. Was it Tony? Was it Cody? Or did everyone lose? Oh, God. Maybe. That is what happens when you're a Carolina Panthers fan with Matt Rhule as the head coach. Until next time, keep pounding.
Keep pounding.